you for coming out, everybody. Hopefully you found your way and weren't locked out for too long. They lock our doors at 5 o'clock, so we got to watch the door and let everybody in. So hopefully there's nobody waiting there now. Welcome to Rock Candy. This is co-working space here on campus. We're excited to have everybody out here tonight. I had looked forward to this for some time. When Ann Kirby introduced me to Alexa, it was a great opportunity to bring the community together here at Rock Lititiz. Give those folks who have not seen the campus before a chance to check it out. It's probably why you really came, is to see the campus, right? But afterwards, you have a chance to walk around if you want and kind of check things out. So I encourage you to do so. Keystone Merge, as you know, is a regional gathering for thinkers and doers. And this is the first Thursday of every month in which this event takes place. We obviously rotate between different areas in York, Lancaster, and Harrisburg. I want to thank the community partners who help make these events possible. You can check out the website. You'll see most of those partners listed there. And feel free to ever reach out, check out their websites, that kind of thing. We're certainly also excited to be here to learn about the great things people are doing and creating in our community, from entrepreneurs, people who are doing things as far as community development. And we're looking to do what we can to help support folks in that venture. So everyone here seems to have an interest in supporting that. So we certainly are thankful for everybody who wants to come out, engage, and support the community in that way. Tonight we're going to hear from at least one entrepreneur and another gentleman here from the state who's going to talk about the community and economic development programs for the state of Pennsylvania. Sounds like there's some new opportunities coming down the pike, so we're excited to hear that. Also want to thank TFB Catering. They're the catering group here on campus. So most of the events that take place here are going to need to utilize them as the catering outfit. So they own the hotel across the street, the restaurant per diem at the hotel across the street. They also own Gravy, the restaurant out here in the common area, which is open to the public throughout the week from 11 to 2. So they've always done a great job, and we certainly appreciate them. Real quick, can everybody hear me okay? I tend to be a quiet talker, so good.
Just so everyone knows, the microphone is for the live.
Yeah. Yeah, if you're wondering why you didn't hear anything other than my voice, that's why. Real quick as well, just to share a little bit about Rock Candy. I mentioned that this is a co-working space. We opened here 5.5 years ago when the campus was being developed. We actually had a chance to open this space as one of the first tenants in the building. Obviously, we're part of another larger community of businesses here, most of them being in the live entertainment industry, from staging, lighting, pyrotechnics, and so forth, as well as other businesses that are considered public-facing. There's a gymnasium, like a rock climbing gym. They have one of those Ninja Warrior training courses if you feel like giving that a test. We have a music store that sells equipment, teaches lessons, a couple others as well. Bike shop, there's a medical practice as well. So not just for the live entertainment industry, but also for all sorts of other operations and so on. We're also excited to announce that on Monday, we're kicking off a new venture here at Rock Candy in partnership with Claire Global and Cisco. We're kicking off a Cisco Certified Networking Associate program to help develop folks in IT skills on the Cisco platforms in order to create opportunities for the businesses here on campus to hire out of the program for the networking positions that they have available. There's been a skills gap issue that we're all aware of. This is our effort to really try to begin offering certification programs that are in the short course category, the boot camp category, so 10 weeks, 12 weeks, 14 weeks, those types of things. The first program we're starting is the CCNA, but we plan to offer other things as well, such as programming languages, cybersecurity, other audio networking technologies that we're engaging with some partners with at this time. We couldn't do it without Claire Global, who really is supporting this mission to help us with this program, and looking forward to having our students finish this program in 10 weeks and provide Claire with a few qualified individuals to begin working with them on a regular basis. So We have some cards up front. We have some information available, and certainly we'll be around to talk more later. But any questions about the Lititiz Technology Academy, please just let us know, as well as any questions about Rock Candy. All right. I'd be remiss if I didn't announce some team members who are here to help. So my co-founder in the Lititiz Technology Academy is Henry Yeager. He's here supporting our cause, of course. We've been working together on this since since November, and really excited to get this launched. We also have our operations director, Christy Gordner. So she's here to basically run our day-to-day. She'll be the face of the organization and really helping make sure that things go smoothly for our students as they embark in this program. So I certainly appreciate you giving me a few minutes to talk about that. And at this time, I'm going to introduce our first entrepreneur presenter, Melissa Baez from ELUME. And she's going to give us a few minutes on her business venture and then give us a chance to ask a few questions as well.
Just in case I get excited or something.
Will that work onto the screen up here, or are you going to use this right here? Yep.
This one here. Just, do I need it? I do need it. Okay. All right. This is fun. Hello. Hi, everyone who's live. Good evening. My name is Melissa Baez. I'm the CEO of ELUME. I am here to share the work of what we do. We are a sustainable brand that offers products and services to the trailblazing entrepreneur. Before I get started, I just kind of want to talk a little bit about how we got here, how ELUME started. When I was in college, I was sitting in my business classes, and every professor, every story, every case study that we had to read glorified what entrepreneurship was, this unicorn, these white dudes who started incredible ventures from their garage. And I was always like, I want to be one of those people. I want to create a unicorn company. I wasn't white, I didn't have a garage, but I had two really cool badass friends who shared very common experiences and hopes and dreams as I did. And what wasn't a garage, it was a coffee shop in downtown Lancaster, where we discussed our passion for the community, the impact that we wish to see, and what social entrepreneurship and the power social entrepreneurship had for our communities, for our entrepreneurs, and for change agents. Unfortunately, when we talk about sustainability and we talk about social entrepreneurship and we talk about how small businesses tie into that dialogue, into that conversation, there's not much happening on the small business side of things. What's glorified is what the corporations are doing. What's also glorified is all the negative and the drastic issues that come around with what corporations are doing. So at one point, through the years and work that we've been doing supporting small businesses in Lancaster and studying the work around sustainability in small businesses, we kept asking ourselves, is sustainable business privileged? Who's able to really tap into this work that's been around for years? Who has the resources to do it? Corporations, right? That's like all you hear about. They have like the mass power and the dollars to be able to really create impact. But what I was seeing at home after I came out of college, a couple 80 plus grand in debt, right? Was that the real impact that was happening and the real change within families, within the local communities, were the small businesses, naturally. However, I still knew the power of what corporations could do, but I wasn't about to keep pushing and working my way into this sector to create change. I knew that there was a lot of power, and I knew that there was quicker change to be seen when you're working with local communities. So Lancaster was kind of like our flagship when we initiated our work with sustainable change and social impact within the small business group. So some of the challenges that we were finding about with small businesses who wanted to integrate some sort of sustainability solutions or any kind of social impact was that there was lack of accessible, simple, and easy to use products and just resources. So as a result, when there's not much resources to attain, entrepreneurs are often trying to do too many things. They don't necessarily know which direction to go. They're burnt out. And they don't necessarily comprehend the full nature of sustainability integrated into their business ventures. And then they end up just giving up. And they continue to do business as usual. However, there's a lot of resources out there that do support businesses with this concept of integrating some sort of impact, but not necessarily in a full, cohesive way. We know that there's accelerators, we know that there's competitions, there's fellowships, but a lot of the barriers that we're seeing is time. Entrepreneurs need to commit to 10 weeks. And I know this because I taught at Assets for about 6 years, and I designed a lot of the boot camps and incubators. And there's so many small businesses in Lancaster, yet we were seeing about 20 small businesses being able to commit initially, and then the drop-off rate. Around 2 or 3 weeks in, they're not able to commit. They have life. They have a full-time job. The money component, all these things are huge barriers to being able to access this information, this knowledge around sustainability, this knowledge around social impact, and how to do business for good. So my team and I, again, most of our great ideas and thought conversations happen around coffee. We talked about, well, what is driving us? What is driving us to really tackle these issues and help small businesses really be able to integrate some of these business practices? So first, we are personally committed to this work. We believe we're all millennials, my team and I, so we know what it's like. We know what power can come from integrating social impact or sustainability into your business model. We know it's doable, but it's how. We also understand that this kind of thinking, the systems thinking, and I put these resources up here because if anyone hasn't heard of them, I highly suggest either buying the books or reading some of these articles. But Thinking in Systems talks about how one small business, how one form of sustainability has this ability to have a magnified impact on a local community, which then can spread to the rest of the world. And also just 51 questions on social entrepreneurship. Nital Parak is an amazing, amazing entrepreneur who has been able to simplify the language around sustainability, which tends to be a huge barrier, again, for small businesses trying to integrate sustainability. She is able to break it down, talk about what trends are happening, what social entrepreneurs can look like. All of these things really were the main drivers for us that we wanted to incorporate somewhat in our own way into ELUME and figure out ways that we can then adapt to the work. So back in 2020, I graduated from Bard MBA with a degree in sustainability. And I was able to use my capstone to really take this idea of trying to find a very simple, easy way of integrating sustainability practices and social entrepreneurship theories into businesses, small businesses, ventures. So I spent an entire year trying to model it, design content, do all these things, figure out how do we take this huge idea, because it's a massive idea, of transforming small businesses, business as usual, to all impact-driven business models into something that we're trying to solve, something easy, something accessible. So what we ended up doing was we created a company called ELUME. We create products and services that make it easy for entrepreneurs and small businesses to make sustainability their competitive advantage. We hope that by choosing ELUME, entrepreneurs can be included in the larger dialogue about sustainability and impact. There will be more of a natural approach and ease to integrating sustainability despite scarce resources as a small venture, and in turn create a cultural shift around these values within the sustainability language. So now that was our mission. That was our vision and what we hope to see in the world, and that was our commitment as a business. So now how did that come to life? So we had dreams. There was lots of different ways that could show up, but at the end of the day, we figured let's design a 30-day walk through in your own pace journal to get to a very simple MVI, minimum viable impact. As a small business owner, you can take your time. You don't have to sit in class, but you will be guided for 30 days to help you identify what is one source of impact that your business can adopt within 30 days. So we thought, oh my gosh, this is going to be glorious. Like, I've done easy 30-day guided journaling practices. This is going to be super easy for a business owner. When they have the time, they could just pull out their journal, go ahead, doodle, all the things. We'll have access to definitions. We'll be able to include case studies that are relatable to them, all the things. And our mock-up was beautiful. We thought this is going to be perfect. But then we realized this is going to be expensive. And also, as a business that is trying to preach sustainable business, we ourselves kept running into a barrier of, if we're going to do a notebook that's guided, the notebook needs to be sustainable. Every aspect of our work, from the design to end-of-life use, needs to be intentional. So we realized, okay, well, let's find a sustainable notebook. Cool, we did. We found a partner who creates notebooks manufactured out of stone. It is cradle to cradle. They are intentional about not just the process of making the paper. So there's no pulp. When you're thinking about stone paper, there's no tree pulp, there's no water that's used. CO2 is actually, it's 60% less usage of CO2 in the process of making this. It is beautiful. I actually have a couple notebooks here to show you all, and they're blank. It's a matte finish. The paper is a little bit heavy. Please don't take them. I'm going to have you guys buy them at the end of this presentation. But pass them around, check them out. So we said, we preach about MVP, minimum viable product, right? Let's start somewhere small. So we said, let's start with just a blank notebook. We want to test out what stone paper, as far as impact is concerned, and whether or not our consumers really care about how the quality of the product. Let's just test this out. Stone paper is actually pretty expensive. And then to design and brand every single page is even more expensive. And the time behind it, we figured that if we were going to brand every single page, we needed to make sure that the content was, you got it, okay. That the content that we were putting into these journals, one, there's no mistake, that the content makes sense, and that it was valid. All the information and the practice, that the thought leadership that went behind it was all valid. We didn't want to create these branded, fully branded stone paper, beautiful notebooks, order around 2,000 units of them, and then something happens where there's a typo. That would be like our nightmare. So we decided step one for us, let's just buy the branded note, just a branded cover, blank inside, test it out with our consumers, see what they think of the actual product. And in the meantime, just a couple perks of the notebook. Stone paper, something that's different about it, it's obviously it's made from stone, but it's also way more water resistant and it's also tear resistant. So we like to tell people that this notebook is an entrepreneur's best accessory. So you go out for coffee, you spill a little coffee on it, you wipe it off and it's fine. You have kids around as you're trying to be a stay-at-home mom and you're doing some work, they could try and tear it, it's tear resistant. It's beautiful, as you can see. So to test out more of our MVI model or MVP model, we just decided to keep our overhead fairly low. We created an e-commerce website, elumetheway.com. You shop online, you purchase a notebook, and again, we started off with just one notebook, one color, classic, with the intention of expanding and offering more, but we just wanted to test this out. So right now, what we have for sale is the classic ELUME notebook. We have a way to utilize online content for free through our social media platform. And there's also a push with every purchase that when you use your journal, you share your story online. So we have hashtags. We have an initiative that says share your stories with our ELUME account on social media. We're also testing out the content that we want long-term in our guided journal. So we created journaling challenges that really help you as a leader, helps you as a business owner, align yourself with sustainable theories, social entrepreneurship practices, and all kinds of sorts. These are examples of some of the challenges that we've done. It's a 3-day journaling practice. And right now we have those, you're able to download them for free or access them for free as well. Another push that we have to keep the word going around our ELUME notebooks is we've intentionally have reached out to some of the clients, the consumers of our notebook, and asked them to share their stories with us, either send us their pictures of them using the notebook. I'm not kidding, this one in the middle, one of my friends bought a notebook. He was in the middle of the Red Sea. He's a diver. He's also an entrepreneur, but he took his notebook out, took a bunch of pictures, sent them to us, and we were able to share them through our social media outlets as well. And we love our partners who are able to share their stories. So Keisha Finney, she's a local artist. She's amazing. She does incredible murals in the community, but she's also an activist through her work. So she's a huge promoter of the ELUME notebook, where she literally is putting down her sketches, and then she's able to show the end result of the mural through some of her social media posts. And Rebecca from Fox Duck, if anyone hasn't been there, please do. They're also heavy local focused, but this is one of her favorite notebooks as well. So in order to do what we're doing thus far, we do have a team of 3 who are working for free, 3 free. I am the CEO, Sarah is our Chief Strategy Officer, and Jen is our Chief Creative Officer. The 3 of us do have extensive background and experience in small business development and just working with entrepreneurs in our local community. But additionally, we're all global shapers, so we do have connections to the broader dialogue of global impact and impact within not just the United States, but literally all over. And Sarah Payne is our expert in consulting, especially around B Corps, and Jen is our our Chief Creative Officer and expert in storytelling. So some things that we have coming up next. We are happy with how we're doing right now with our ELUME notebook. However, we are ready to launch our new service, which is going to be consulting small businesses to help guide them through and identify what their MVI is. So again, this is another opportunity for us to keep testing out our MVI content and to help validate that process to then get to that end result of that dream journal that I talked about earlier. We're also working on social media, not special, social media and website refresh. We haven't really touched our website since December when we first launched, just because of capacity, which is another challenge that I'll talk about. But I'm sure if you've talked to any entrepreneur or startup, marketing and communications is one of the hardest things to really work on, just based off of capacity. And also, I'm doing it by myself with 2 kids, so it takes me a while sometimes. In the fall, we're going to have an official ELUME launch. We haven't done that. We haven't come out to the community to offer this service and our products yet, so we're excited to do that in August. We also have a huge conference that's coming up where we're going to have a full session to talk about the product and the services and the impact that we're making at a conference called Opportunity Collaboration. I put this on here because Opportunity Collab has leaders from all over the world who are tackling poverty and social issues. So huge, huge opportunity for ELUME to really just get out there. We're also closer to November, December, we're working on an ambassador program. So sort of like what we're doing with Keisha and Rebecca and some of our friends who have been posting about their experiences and their adventures and their success using our notebooks. We're going to formalize that process a little bit just to help spread the word and develop the brand and the community around ELUME. And lastly, in December, our goal is to actually roll out a digital MVI guide. Fingers crossed that we have the capacity and time to do all these things, but that is the goal. So I was asked to talk about some of our challenges, which you've heard me talk about a little bit, but specifically the 3 main challenges that we've been having as a company who is trying to be incredibly intentional about the social impact and the sustainability piece, from the design of our products to our internal processes to the end-of-life use of all of our work. The product was a huge pain in the butt. Trying to do and find that product was a huge challenge for us. There's a cost to having a very strong quality product like that. Also, with the product, we went with a third party. So you could see on our notebook right now, it's actually co-branded. So at the bottom of each of our classic ELUMEs, there's a K. It's another company that sells them at wholesale, so we co-branded with them. However, this stays between us and whoever's watching live. We actually will be launching this during our August launch party. I could send this around. We've actually rebranded, and we have a phase 2 of our notebooks. We have 3 different colors now, so there's options. Some of the feedback that we got were that some gentlemen don't necessarily like that color teal, which it is what it is. So we expanded. Neutral was actually a huge favorite color for men and women. So we will have this neutral sand color. We have a forest green and the continued classic teal. But with the rebranding, we changed up our logo. ELUME is fully branded onto this notebook. So it's like, it feels more like us from front to back. And I'll pass this around. So the quality of the notebook remains the same, but as you'll see, it's all ELUME. So the quality of it and the ties to our brand becomes a lot stronger. Business operations, as I said, we do have a team of 3, yet we're all like half of a half-time person committing to this. So I recently left my full-time job to be a stay-at-home mom. So I am doing ELUME while raising 2 kids at home for now. And my teammates are also doing this like part-time, because they also have full-time jobs. So when we talk about capacity, we are all in for this, but the challenges of the real world is we're very committed to the mission, but we just don't have all of our time and energy. If we were able to pay our staff a full-time salary, yes, that would be ideal. Then we would all be all in. But we're slowly getting there. And lastly, this is an interesting barrier, but this idea of the definition of sustainability and the cultural stance that it has here in Lancaster, but also just generally in the world. So one, what we're trying to do is make sure that the definition of sustainability is very clear and that people understand that when we say sustainability, we're also talking about social impact. It is one and the same. What oftentimes that happens is when you talk about sustainability, people think just environmental impact, but you can't talk about one without the other. So that has actually had a negative impact on the work that we've been trying to do in the sense of content, developing content, people not clearly understanding what we do through our social media and through our website, and just our brand. So there's still slight confusion just because of the disconnect around what sustainability means in the world and how we are trying to translate that language as well. However, it's a good problem to have, and we are very equipped to take that on, and we're more eager than ever to do so. But I do have a question before I kind of end things and allow some questions. I would love to hear from the audience. What do you think will get businesses and change agents, leaders, to care more about sustainability integration and to adopt it? So not just care, but then to adopt and create action and take that out into the world. And you can actually answer it. It's not meant to be rhetorical, but if anyone has thoughts on it.
I'm Zanetta. I own Sydney Roasting Co. and Kittytown Coffee. We're a coffee roaster, and with Kittytown Coffee, we have a social aspect to it. So we donate to local animal shelters whenever we sell a bag, and we use like natural flavorings in our flavored coffees and stuff like that. But something that we wanted to do when we just recently bought bags was we wanted to change to a compostable bag, just to increase our sustainability and our social impact on the world. But ultimately we chose not to because of, honestly, cost wasn't a big thing, but a lot of the designs of the bags were not manufacturable. It made it so, like, you know, we got some samples and we realized like the opening to, you know, fill these bags was like this big compared to, you know, the bags we were using. And then further, we were like all set. We're like, all right, we'll figure some way to deal with this, you know. And then what happened was we started to look into like labeling requirements and stuff like that for, you know, the state of California. And we realized like we're going to get sued if we start, you know, labeling things without, you know, paying big money for, you know, like testing and stuff like that. So it became very challenging for us, and it was something we want to do, and we're hoping that next time we order bags will be bigger, and then maybe we could, you know, overcome some of those. But that was our experience trying to be a little bit more sustainable. So, you know, definitely like understanding, you know, the rules, not wanting to get sued, you know, also wanting to make sure that it was something that customers cared about, and that our customers would actually appreciate that change. You know, we didn't want to be like one of the big corporations that's like, oh yeah, this is compostable, but then it's not, or it's, you know, not compostable enough, because there's a lot of brands out there that get a lot of backlash and stuff. So those were some of the thoughts that we had when we were looking into this. So
And just to add to that, so part of the work that we're doing with our consulting and hopefully to integrate it into our MVI concept through the guided journal is this idea of materiality, right? There's so many ways that you can go to integrate impact into your business, whether it's social or environmental, but which one's going to make the most sense to you? And not necessarily having to do 3 or 4 different things right away, but let's start somewhere first. See if it works, see if that makes sense, testing out before you start purchasing, you know, or recyclable types of bag or packaging, is that the right, step for you? Or is there something else that you could be focusing on that maybe is more impactful to your clients, financially, looking at your bottom line, that makes sense as well? So that's great. You're already thinking about it and doing it. So good.
I think I can project either way. So first of all, what you said about whether privilege is sustainable, that sustainability is a privilege, I shall say no more. But the whole idea behind getting businesses and the change agents to care and adopt this, I mean, you have to, well, it's hard to say, give them a reason why, but help them understand why this is important to them, because it's important to your community, your city, just to the nature of, social change. If they are genuinely invested in that social change, they'll invest up front, and in order for this to be sustainable, they'll make this an ongoing thing. Commit to every year you come back, reassess, reinvest. And somehow you have to kind of remind them of that.
Thank you.
Since no one else has a question, I actually, I am intrigued by your third problem, and how it's a problem of how we kind of like codify and harden language, because sustainable doesn't really mean only environmentally sustainable. So I was wondering if you and your team had played at all with maybe picking a new word so that people weren't so hardened around it, or like, what are the other ways that you had kind of played to get people to understand what you mean and not get them so locked in, and then you have all this work to do to kind of fish them out?
Creating new definitions is not in our workflow, just because I feel like there's a new definition for something every single day, that it continues to dilute the actual impact of the work. But what we're trying to do to help solve the issue and to help educate people in the sense of this is what it means, and it incorporates all, is kind of like our pillars. It is the idea that in the way that we're doing business, we want you to think about you, yourself, and how you relate to the definition that's out there right now of sustainability. But if you're doing social work or social impact, and if you're doing environmental impact, we're sharing the stories of both to help everyone understand that it's both and. It's not one and the other. So it's more of how we're presenting the stories of impact through the work that we're doing, through the consultants, through our consulting work, and the clients that we're working with. So all of the stories that we're hearing, both social and environmental, we're sharing them as one. One of the things that I didn't talk about was part of the dreaming phase of ELUME. So yes, we have that 30-day guide notebook. We also have this consulting piece that we want to do, which we're going to be launching in the fall. But lastly is down the road, we actually want to make a film of all of the stories. So has anyone seen the Zac Efron sustainability Netflix special? Oh, what's it called? It's something, but it's really cool. But he goes around the world and he's finding communities and people who really understand sustainability from its grassroots, and he's sharing those stories. So we watched it, obviously got super excited about it, and said, you know what, there's so many amazing local businesses and leaders that are doing that. We could do that. Imagine just sharing the stories and the voices of, if anyone's a filmmaker here, let's talk after this, but but to be able to share both ends, it's instead of creating a new definition, let's show the world what it could actually be.
Anyone else?
So my last call to action, go visit illumetheway.com, buy yourself a notebook today. They're $27, $28 round up, plus, shipping. But it's a beautiful notebook. Help yourself to one today. We need about 1, 2, 3, 4. There's around 30 people here. We'll break even if 30 people buy notebooks. So help a small business out. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Melissa. Just a few other quick tidbits to share. I failed to provide the location of the restrooms earlier. So out the door to the right, big yellow painted walls will show you the way. There's also other drinks and beverages and some coolers along the back wall. There's additional drinks in the refrigerator as well if anybody would like. Please help yourselves, don't be shy. So next up, we're going to have Steve Diatori, Department of Community and Economic Development. He's stepping in for Chris, who couldn't be here. Very last minute issue had come up, so we're very appreciative that Steve's here to join us and share a little bit about his program and what he has to offer. So, Steve.
All right, thank you, Steve. So, yes, I think I am the only one here with a tie on, so you can tell that I'm from the government. I'm here to help you. So I just want to start off. So I am the Deputy Secretary for Technology and Entrepreneurship at the Pennsylvania Department of Community and Economic Development. I don't know how familiar everybody is with the agency, but it's a state agency, obviously in Harrisburg. It's under the governor's jurisdiction. And in my role, I get to try to help folks like yourselves, small businesses looking to succeed and take that next step to get from to make their dream their job, essentially. So first, I just want to start talking about a couple of programs that we have within the agency that may be of interest to you, and then I'll move on to some of the resources that are available, primarily funding resources, especially a significant amount of federal dollars that will be going through our agency, hopefully soon. So the first program I want to mention is Business One Stop Shop. If you haven't had a chance to visit this site, you can just Google Pennsylvania Business One Stop Shop. It's within they're part of my team. And in there, anything that you need in how you start your business is available there. If you're looking to file your articles of incorporation, finding out, what your tax burden will be, filing with Department of State, anything you need from Department of Labor and Industry is there, as well as Department of Revenue. So it really is, like it says, it's a one-stop shop for businesses. So there's a whole lot, and they also have webinars that can help with different topics that may be of interest to you. So I'd encourage everyone to visit that site if you have any questions about just sort of like basic, how do I start a business in Pennsylvania? Also within that site, and this is something I wanted to bring up with what Melissa just mentioned, is I would encourage you to go to Business One Stop Shop and look for it's a sub-site essentially called Common Goods. And in that, it is Governor Wolf's effort to get more small businesses into an e-commerce platform. So this was sort of born out of the pandemic, trying to find businesses, provide resiliency for businesses as they face disruption. But it sort of morphed into becoming this, it's like a directory of small businesses in Pennsylvania. Where you can provide your e-commerce platform. So whether it's your own e-commerce site on your website, or if you have a Facebook marketplace, or any of the above, Etsy, eBay, whatever it may be, you can provide that information on there. And then consumers who are interested in shopping local, interest in Pennsylvania products, whatever it may be, can go there, and then it just provides, like I said, another avenue for you to sell your wares. There's a couple of restrictions on what we don't allow, but I doubt anyone in here, does those types of businesses. So that's essentially the one-stop shop. The other thing I wanted to mention was the Keystone Innovation Zones that are around the Commonwealth. I'm not exactly sure off the top of my head where the one is for Lancaster, but there's definitely one in York that York College is the coordinator for. There's one they're all over. There's Philadelphia has a couple, Pittsburgh has a couple. They're generally coordinated through colleges and universities that act as the coordinator. So, like, for example, Susquehanna University is the Greater Susquehanna KIZ. It's a long way of me saying we have these zones that are available for businesses that are 8 years and under, that meet certain revenue thresholds, where you can apply for a tax credit of up to $100,000 that the business can then sell. So it's a way for a business to essentially get more cash when finding traditional means of capital may be more challenging, just given the complexities of an early stage business. So that's also within DCED. And that is funded at $15 million total. So, like I said, it's sort of first come, first serve, and you have to go through the coordinators, but you can go on our website, the map is there, you could find your local coordinator. Those are sort of the two programs I wanted to touch on off the bat. Now I sort of want to move into some of the other things that are sort of happening in real time right now. I don't know how, the state budget is being negotiated right now. It's very exciting, I know. But Governor Wolf put forward a $21 million increase to innovation and startup spending in this year's proposed budget. Given sort of the, I would say, differences in priorities between sort of the governor and the legislature, I don't think that we'll get 21 million, but we are hopeful to get something. And something is obviously better than nothing, and it is an increase. Any increase would be significant because there hasn't been an increase in the various innovation entrepreneurship lines in a few years, despite the administration putting forward asks the last several years. And this would be based around our Ben Franklin technology partners. So Central North Penn is the local Ben Franklin for here. There are 4 of them. They're regionally broken up. Southeast is obviously the Philadelphia and the surrounding areas. Northeast is Lehigh Valley, essentially. Southwest is Pittsburgh and the surrounding counties. And then Central North Penn, which Lancaster, York, Harrisburg fall under, is everything else. So they cover the most ground. And Steve Brawley is the CEO, so I don't know if anyone here has worked with them or not in the past, but we're trying to get them more funding as well. Life science greenhouses or others, if that's the area that you're focused in, and the Bens and the greenhouses essentially provide early stage funding, technical assistance, services to help businesses. One, a source of capital, and then other is just startup services, looking for legal assistance, accounting, those types of things. All right, so now on to what, excuse me, and also just sort of pay attention to, the local news the next couple days. You'll see that the budget hopefully will pass. It was supposed to be passed last Thursday, but for whatever reason it hasn't. And look for any additional funding around entrepreneurs. The larger crux of what I want to talk about is a federal program it's a $10 billion program. It's part of ARPA that President Biden signed, I guess a year and a half ago now. And it's called the State Small Business Credit Initiative. So, like I said, this is $10 billion distributed amongst all states based on population and unemployment data captured at a certain time. Pennsylvania is set to receive 267 point something million over the next 9 years. This will be deployed in 3 different tranches. The first third will be 82 million. The 2 subsequent will be 92 million. There is a 1-to-1 match for every dollar that is spent, and that is required at the transaction level. The way we are going to design this program, and back up one step, we haven't been officially approved by Treasury yet. This has been a very long and deliberative process, I'll say. We think we're very close. Only 4 states have been approved thus far. We were the 18th state to apply, and they review them as they come in. So the deadline was in February, and it's taken this long to get to number 18. So I wouldn't want to be 47, so we're hoping it'll be soon. And once we get approved, we will open our program up, and the way that we have it designed is the lion's share of the dollars will be divided in half, essentially. Half of it will go towards the Ben Franklin's Life Sciences for equity investments in companies similar to what they already do. The other half will be revolving loan funds established through CDFI Network and the CEDOs, which is the Certified Economic Development Organizations. There are about 60 of those across the Commonwealth. So not all of them will be funded. It's basically on if they want to be or not. So that will be the application process for about a month. We'll close the application process. Then it's up. Then we will award the funding, various amounts to different groups. Those groups then turn around and lend or invest in you if you sort of fit the criteria around the federal program. So the federal program, its main goal is to get more capital in a revolving format into the communities. This capital has several different, I'd say, focuses. One is on very small businesses, so 10 and under, which is the lion's share of startups. A percentage of the dollars have to go to VSBs. The other is about, I think, 60 million of our 267 million and change has to go to what Treasury calls SETIs, so socially and economically disadvantaged individuals, but individuals as businesses in this case. So that is the main focus from Treasury, is to try to lift up those that have not had sort of a fair shake in the past when it comes to capital, and that could be on a number of different demographics, rural versus urban, minority versus non-minority, so on and so forth. So the programs that we have designed is there is a requirement within each allocation that those standards are met, if not exceeded. There is an incentive for the lenders to provide more funding to the SETI companies within that first tranche. And that's why when I said 82, 92, 92, that $20 million difference is if we hit certain SETI benchmarks in the first tranche. If we don't hit them, then we don't get that additional 20 million, which is obviously very significant. The balance of the funding, which comes out to be about $17 million that we have, is to stand up a venture capital fund for venture capital partners or funds that are diverse-led and invest in diverse businesses. We already have an existing venture investment program through basically our funding authority. So every few months we'll have VCs come in and basically request funding from the state. Recently it's come to, we knew it before, but it became very clear that just the lack of funding and capital available for diverse funds as well as the diverse businesses. So we wanted to create a program that allows for that problem to at least the gap to close a bit. So that's what, and it's one of those things that other states have come to us to ask us how we're setting this up. And Treasury has used this, and I say all this as proposed because nothing is final yet. They've used us as examples to other states and invited us to participate in webinars and things of the like to try to encourage other states to sort of follow our lead, because it is obviously that important. And like I said, it's a significant amount of money. We hope to have it soon. I would say that I'm hoping that dollars will be on the street through that federal program by mid to late October. Let's say November 1st, just in pencil, November 1st. So like I said, it is an awful lot of money, and it is a generational opportunity to really invest in folks like you, and to get that return over years, where once you succeed and you pay back your loan or however it's structured, that the next person up gets the benefit the same thing, and that way it alleviates some of the pressure of arguing over $20 million in a $43 billion budget from the state. So with that, I'm happy to take any questions, or if anyone wants to speak afterwards, I'm happy to do that as well. Yes. Yes.
So York College is the administrator of the Keystone Innovation Zones in York. Are they also the decision maker?
So they're the coordinator.
Okay. So
So-
they're not administrator, they're just coordinating.
Yes, they coordinate, and then we have staff that oversee sort of the determination of the tax credit. So they don't administer the credit.
Okay. Then how do people know to go to York College to apply, or do they go to DCED?
So really what you would do is you would go, if you knew nothing, you would go to DCED.
And often we don't, but go ahead.
You would go to DCED, the KIZ website, see whatever your local coordinator is, and then go to the coordinator and then work out, and then you would go to them to apply to, your business has to be in the zone. Boundaries are always, the requests, I shouldn't say they're always being modified. They are frequently modified to fit other businesses to help get them into the zone so they can take advantage of the program. But your local coordinator would be the best one to speak to, or I can give you my card. If you have questions, I can always put you in touch with the program director at the state level who knows much more about it than I do.
Okay. I would like that.
Sure, of course.
Will the federal money updates that you're projecting by like October, will that run through and be advertised on the Business One Stop Shop? How do we keep connected in understanding the timing of that?
So there will be, it won't be through One Stop Shop. It'll just be on our website that there's like an SSBCI page that our marketing folks have already built. It's just not live yet. That'll be one place. I am fairly confident there'll be a good amount of press. There'll be press releases from the governor. You never know if media is interested. They could do stories on it. And also just staying in touch with your local economic development groups. So, like if you're in York, YCEA, York College, other groups like that will be, the Ben Franklins, they'll all be very, very aware of what's happening around SSBCI.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. All right.
Any other questions?
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Steve. Appreciate you stepping in and pinch hitting there. First, we want to thank everybody who presented tonight. Well done. We appreciate you sharing your stories and presenting here at Keystone Merge. Big thanks to the community partners who helped make this happen. If you know any entrepreneurs who are looking to present, get their word out, tell their story, please have them reach out via the Keystone Merge website, and there will be someone who will respond to accommodate that request. Next month's Merge is in York at the Sarah Ellen event venue. And feel free now to stay a while, hang out, do some networking. I'll be here to answer questions about the building, about Rock Candy, about Lititiz Technology Academy. You're also welcome to walk around the building here, but it's like a museum. You can't touch the fancy guitars and memorabilia and so forth, but there's usually placards hanging in those areas to tell you what tour the items were from, that kind of thing. So it literally is like a museum. But yeah, so if there's no other questions or anything, we'll wrap it up at this time. Remember, drinks in the coolers. There's still some food left. Help yourselves. And thanks for coming out.